Now, going back to the ProfitDig application, have you used any of like the materials, the material groups?
Oh yeah, for sure. And it makes it so much easier. And I got.
Hey Profit Diggers, thanks for tuning in. Here I've got Luke Fielder, Jeff Spencer, Chris Work. I'm Jeff Givens. We got Jerry Work behind the camera. We're going to do a video here that we don't normally do. We're going to actually talk about our application, ProfitDig. So we're very proud of this application. We try not to be too pushy on the application. We're trying to generate some content, but we do feel like it's a valuable resource.
Absolutely.
Especially if you'd like to track the costs that you're spending at your company. If you'd like to help generate bids much easier. And fortunately, today we have someone who has some experience using the system. So Luke, maybe you'd like to give us some general feedback, maybe some features that you like in the system.
Yeah, it definitely makes it a lot easier, kind of like a just select and go type deal once you have all your numbers figured out. You know, you obviously have to figure out your own numbers. I mean, you know, because depending on where your location's at, I mean, they're going to change sometimes drastically.
Yeah.
You know, as far as your cost, and so, but like once you get dialed in on what your costs are. For what it costs to run the machine, you know, it's pretty much just a click and go. Yeah. And it definitely speeds up the process for putting a bid together.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Have you been able to utilize like any of your job costs and features?
Not yet, just because I haven't really dialed that in, and I may actually need like kind of a crash course maybe on some of our past jobs that we've had, you know, to where we can. Like right now, I'm just like, well, I know this costs this and this costs this, and you know, we just kind of subtracted it and went at it that way. But I do want to start diving into more of that. I figured it would be better to have more of a variety of different types of jobs to be able to kind of experiment along with that. Right. But that is something that I do want to give a little bit more attention to. Yeah. Because I do know it would help for sure, and it's probably some things that we need to do on our end as far as being able to utilizing our cost codes, and what goes into more like the overhead categories compared to what actual costs are.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, and ProfitDig wasn't designed to get you down to the penny. Right. You know, it was designed to say, okay, on this type of job, where am I making or potentially losing money? Yeah. You know, that's the whole idea. So
that's key, where you're potentially losing money.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Correct that first.
Well, and if you are tracking those costs, we do have reports in the system that can help you identify where you're losing money.
Oh, it even goes down to the actual bid item.
You can look at it from a bid item perspective. You can even look at it from like the type of cost it is. So whether it's, oh, I'm losing money on labor. Like, yeah, you can look at it from that perspective. You can also look at it from the perspective of, well, this particular one line item, like we didn't account for X, Y, and Z. And you may not know that immediately, but when you look at the report, it'll call it out and it'll say like, hey, here's where you have some problem areas, and it'll highlight that for you. But you can only get that feedback if you're actually putting those costs into the system.
Right. Your reporting is only going to be as accurate as what you are.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. We had one that we lost about $2,500 on because I forgot to put in backfilling of a water line that we did. Oh, really? Yeah, that was a pretty costly one, you know.
Hey, but that'll never happen again.
Exactly. Yeah, that will never happen again.
And did ProfitDig help you figure that out? Like when you
were whenever I was out. So, and that's something else I probably spend more time with on getting better with as far as because I like to create the invoices with ProfitDig also. Yeah. Because it adds in all your percentages along with it. But whenever I was going on along the final bill, I was like, where's backfill? I was like, oh no.
Well, hey, it could have been a lot worse. And luckily, it's probably good that happened early on.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. I mean, at least it wasn't for like a $50,000 job.
Right.
Luckily, it was $6,000 instead.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Like, whenever you are generating your bids, do you submit your bids directly from the ProfitDig app?
So, I have. I've done it both. I've done it two ways. I've submitted them straight from ProfitDig, and then I've also done it to where I've sent it to our own email, and then just sent the PDF directly to the client.
We're actually going to be improving our email capture feature as well in the near future, so that if you do choose to send from the ProfitDig application, that you'll be able to track things like, okay, guaranteed the PDF was sent to the customer, to whatever email address it may be. It's also going to be able to track, did that person receive it? So not only did your system send it, but did the receiving system actually get it? And then also,
which they are getting it. It's just that extra level.
But there's always concern, right? Like, you never know if it's going to show up in spam or, it's like, but in this case, like, if you had that visibility to say, like, hey, this email was sent, this timestamp, it was received from, your end customer's system at this timestamp, and then to be able to see that, hey, they opened it. And if not, you could potentially track that. And, that's some of the things we've considered as well. Is like, maybe we put a timer on there, is that if you've sent one and after a certain amount of days, maybe it's configurable, that if that hasn't happened, we'll send you an email to say, hey, this hasn't been opened yet.
That gives you an opportunity to follow up.
Exactly.
Questions.
Because that is one thing I did notice. Like, when we would send it through the ProfitDig itself, it would send it from our email, but we couldn't see it in our sent folder, and so that I think actually that's what I talked to you about it, and that's why we kind of switched over to just sending it to ourselves and then sending
that
it.
peace of mind.
Yeah, I understand.
No, that'll be coming in an update very soon, so we'll have that feature.
Yep, that's fantastic.
Now, in terms of versatility, like, how's the system working out for you? Like, do you feel like you're able to craft a bid that meets your needs?
Yeah, absolutely. I love the different templates at the very end. It gives you all kinds of options, and I really, really like that, because as we was talking about before, a lot of the people that we're bidding against on these smaller jobs, they just give a price, whereas we can send them, when we send ours in, it's actually, it's broke down in categories on what they're being charged for.
I think right now we have 8 different options, but that's always expandable. So, like, if you're in the ProfitDig system, or maybe you're considering using ProfitDig, if we don't have a bid that suits your company's needs, you're looking at the development team right here. So
there's a wide variety of different ways that you can make it appear to the client, and it's there's a lot of different options for it.
Yeah, and there's value in that, because if I'm receiving your bid and one of your competitors' bids, even if you're a little more money, you have clearly outlined everything you're going to do. So I have that peace of mind, versus if I have that lump sum, there could be questions. Well, I'm looking at your bid and I'm like, well, does he include this and this and this? And it's.
And I had that recently with a contract job I had at my home.
Oh, at your home,
Yeah, because I guess I got 3 to 5 bids from every piece of work I needed done on my house, and on one of the bids, I chose to go above, like, quite a bit above what the minimum price was, but based on the thoroughness of their bid, I thought, wow, they've really accounted for everything here, and I felt like this is someone who really knows their work, and I feel confident that whoever they send out to do the job, it's like it's not a blueprint, it's like. But even just from reading the bid proposal, I was able to say, like, oh, well, they're going to work on this and this and this, and this is their plan. I kind of knew what they were going to do if they were going to do it. And I was able to judge, like, well, they were so descriptive in it. I was like, they weren't changing a light bulb for $500. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right. Well, it gave you peace of mind.
It certainly did.
And if something were to come up after the fact, it'd be real easy for that contractor who just provided that lump sum to say, well, no, that wasn't included, or wasn't part of the agreement.
But if that same company had sent me a bid that was very generic and it just said, like, replacing subfloor, and it just had a flat amount.
Right.
Well, without that level of detail, I would have just compared it to the next chump who had the cheaper price and said like, well, this joker's just gonna get the work, because everyone sounds confident when you're talking to them in person. They come out and they look at the job and everyone sounds like a professional. They sound like they know what they're doing.
When they start tearing your home apart, that's when it gets real.
It gets real, yeah. When you're looking at dirt and you're in the kitchen, like, maybe it's too late at that point.
Right.
And in the dirt moving world, I mean, I tell everybody, I'm like, well, this stuff is expensive enough as it is. It's even more expensive when you have to do it twice.
Yeah.
And
Well, and that was our biggest concern too, was that like, hey, if we do something wrong, like we're fixing any of these issues involves, exactly what you said. Like we're ripping it out and doing it again. And we don't want to deal with this bill twice.
well, and like in moving dirt, whenever it's structural, I don't know what that guy did before me. So anything that he did, I have no faith, and I'm not taking any responsibility. So I'm going to take it out and I'm going to redo it. It could be great. It could be great. Which would cheapen it up, but there's no guaranteed bid or anything that I'm going to do for anything that I have to go back to somebody that already done.
Yeah.
Now, going back to the ProfitDig application, have you used any of like the materials, the material groups?
Oh yeah, for sure. And it makes it so much easier. And I got my reminders set up, I think, every 60 days, which I probably need to shorten some of that up on the stone cost.
It helps remind you to get updated.
Absolutely, yeah. So anytime that, which in actually stone, I do that a case by case situation just because it does move around so much. But as far as going in and just changing the price and not having to re-enter it in or whatever it makes it a lot easier for sure.
Yeah. And what a lot of people out there may not understand what we're talking about, ProfitDig offers a feature where you can put in like your material cost, and then you can set your reminder, especially last year, how volatile material prices have been. You can set a reminder to send you an email every so often and say, hey, you need to update your pricing. It's been 30 days or it's been 60 days, whatever it may be. But, you have that option in there to where you don't necessarily always have to depend on the material quote. You've got your prices in there. As long as you keep them updated regular, you can give a pretty accurate bid, based on today's market price.
Yeah, and you can set those notifications or reminders based on each individual material as well. So it's like you're not just locked into one reminder. Like maybe you do need to call about stone every week, every 2 weeks. But maybe something else doesn't change as often, and like maybe I need to check that every 60 days, 90 days, whatever it might be.
Flexibility.
Well, awesome. It was great to get some feedback on the application, Luke.
Appreciate you.
No problem.
Yeah, and for any of our users out there, if you've got feedback you'd like to give about the application, we try to build a tool that can suit your needs as best as we can, right? So, like the more input, the more feedback we get, the more features we can create. So, feel free to drop us a line either through an email, our email's on the website, or you could leave a comment on a YouTube video, whatever.
Yeah, check us
We're
out.
here on all the social media sites. Feel free to like, share, subscribe. It helps us out. So we're putting out a lot of content, a lot of video content, a lot of articles. We're trying to build the knowledge around generating bids and tracking costs, and a lot of knowledge around the construction industry. So we really appreciate y'all tuning in.
Yep. Check us out, ProfitDig.com. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.